Aladdin, the Disney live-action retelling, whatever.
Re-something.
Repurposing,
Recycling.
Recycling.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
Always do that. And
the environment.
We are going to be sharing spoilers tonight. Just a heads up and giving you a warning on that. So if you don't want any spoilers, excuse me, this is your warning. We will be sharing spoilers. They will be coming very soon, and you never really know where that's going to go. But we will see how in-depth we actually get about this. We will see how many details we cover as we get into this.
Yeah.
I think we'll start off first with what we liked.
Yeah.
Let's go with characters that we liked and moments that we liked first, and we can build for that. If you want to join in, I am going to try to attempt to watch the chat on YouTube, so we will try to respond to those
and if he
as we
doesn't,
can.
I probably will.
We are self-producing tonight. This is always a little bit more of a challenge, but we will do it. So, Aladdin is a retelling. They've got a completely new cast, except for, which I found very interesting, Abu / The Cave of Wonders has the same voice as the original movie, which was really cool. And that was one of the highlights for me even before knowing those, because when they got to the Cave of Wonders and the Cave of Wonders was speaking, I was like, huh, they did a good job recreating the original, not knowing that it was the original. And I felt the same with the voice of Abu. Like, it was very well done. But they're not the main characters.
No.
Main characters are Genie, Aladdin, Jasmine. You could say Jafar to some extent, also kind of a secondary main villain.
Well, he's the antagonist.
Yes.
So he's the main antagonist.
Exactly. So what did you think of, let's start with Aladdin and Jasmine, our two main title roles, I guess.
Yes.
Title role and girlfriend. But she was like, he was more of the boyfriend to the non-title role girl.
Yes.
But
I thought they were very good. And I thought that their chemistry was very great.
From the moment they met.
Which we had seen in the preview at Disneyland. But seeing it...
in context.
Let's say, realizing the way they cut up the preview at Disneyland, I really enjoyed.
I liked what we saw in the preview. I actually liked better in the context of the movie.
Exactly.
Like, I enjoyed the preview that's at Disneyland. You can go see it. But I definitely enjoyed seeing the entire package a whole lot better.
I agree completely. So seeing it on a grand scale and seeing it in context, I really enjoyed. I felt like it's always important, and I know it's an animated movie, but it's still important to make different character choices than, even though that's not a person that they're trying to emulate, trying to be different than the original version. And I
definitely did that.
I think that they definitely did that. So it was good to watch them be different and not just try and be...
Yeah, it was interesting, starting with Aladdin, just because he has the title of the movie.
Yes.
They made him the same general street rat, but he definitely had more little, like, thievery things that he was doing.
Yes.
He was a lot more, I felt like, conniving than the animated version of himself, and I felt like he had a lot more gray zone. Like, he was towing the line a whole lot more than the original Aladdin. Like, the original Aladdin was a nice guy down on his luck and whatever. But this guy was a thief who had something more in him. And I liked that.
We see that from the moment we meet him. From the fact that someone's trying to steal from him. And he catches them, and you think that it's going to be a lot like the original Aladdin. I'm just like, oh, he's just a poor kid. No, he's actually... Like, while she's trying to distract him, he's distracting her to steal her stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
And the chemistry between Aladdin and Abu, kind of like the teamwork that they had. Like, obviously, they're buddies in the first movie, but I feel like they were more...
family.
Thievery and family in this. Like, Abu is always trying to steal to help Aladdin, and...
Yeah, and Abu is doing exactly what he knows, but is the very loyal pet / sidekick, and that was cute. And in taking that a step further, I really like the chemistry between Abu and the carpet as well.
That was
I
so
thought they played
cute.
up a whole lot more. And whereas I feel like the carpet was more of Aladdin's friend in the original movie, in this, carpet and Abu are basically best buddies, and it was really super cute.
Yeah.
Jasmine
Yes.
was a way better character, I thought, this time around. Like, she had depth, she had strength, she had a purpose, as opposed to kind of just being the I hate to say damsel in distress, but she kind of was in the first movie. And this one, she was in many regards as much of a hero as Aladdin.
She in the animated film, she is very much a feminist icon. She strives for not just marrying any prince off the street, and
Yes, she
wants to be her own person. But there's so much more depth in this. They give her a lot more reason of why she wants to be independent and rule her kingdom. And I think she had a lot more voice, and there's especially a piece at the end where she really shows that she's not all talk and that she's really willing to...
She steps up and does it.
Yeah.
And that changed that whole end scene with Jafar.
Completely.
And I thought it flowed better than the original.
I agree.
Because it actually made purpose for him wanting to go from Sultan to Sorcerer.
Sorcerer to Genie.
He didn't quite become Doctor Strange. Like, as that was happening, it's like, oh, he wants to be Sorcerer Supreme. And... like, there was that moment where I was just like, oh, this is kind of funny, but it didn't work out that way. I think the big one everybody's been talking about is the Genie. The Genie obviously is played by Will Smith this time instead of Robin Williams. They do a really interesting job framing the movie with him, and basically they're giving his future in the beginning of the movie without really sharing how it gets there. And, and the whole story is about how he ends up where he starts in the movie. And I know we said we were going to do spoilers, but I'm going to avoid that one. But, which I thought was great. Like, that was one of the best choices they made, was giving the genies a little bit more depth as well.
Well, and it's the first thing that I immediately thought of was that's everybody's, like, headcanon for the original. Is everyone I have seen for years try and link the Arabian Nights to the Genie.
Yep.
Forever. I've seen
and
it
they
happen.
just flat out went and said, yep, this is it. This is how it happens.
Yeah.
And it really, you could almost say this story was about how the Genie became that as much as Aladdin became
a prince.
A prince, I guess, and all of these other things. Well, I didn't actually know what his final...
I don't know what his final...
They didn't give him a title.
To be completely honest, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So, that's fine. Maybe he'll Prince of Thieves. He's gonna be a prince, so they can have Prince of Thieves next. Is that the second movie?
I think so.
Yeah. Which they kind of set up for that if they wanted to. It was kind of funny, but the Genie, I actually was surprised because I kind of thought I was gonna spend the whole movie going, okay, well, he's no Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And my first thought was like, oh, he's having fun.
Yeah.
And then as the movie progressed, I was like, oh, Will Smith is just having a blast with this. And if anything, I was comparing him to a little bit of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a little bit of his role in Men in Black, and it was like the old Will Smith having fun, a little bit of Independence Day at one point. And I was just like, oh, these are the old, like, Will Smith goofing off, having fun movies before he did the serious, sad ones. Yeah. And I really liked it. Like, I was surprised because Robin Williams is the Genie. Like, the Genie was built around Robin Williams in 1992. And to me, this was like, this will make or break this movie. Is if I'm thinking there, oh, I wish they'd had somehow to do Robin Williams again, I would probably dislike this movie completely. But instead, even during Friend Like Me, I was like, he's just having fun and he's doing it his way as opposed to trying to copy what Robin Williams did. And yes, there's the same lines pretty much through it. Like, there was, if you knew the original, you pretty much knew this one.
Yeah.
But he wasn't trying to be Robin Williams. It was Will Smith having fun as Will Smith. And in, like, part of me is like, oh, he's having a whole dad moment right now. Like, my kids are going to see this, you know, even though they're pretty much grown up. But what did you think of his performance? Well, and the progression of it, too.
That was what I said after the movie, was that the Genie in 1982, it's just Robin Williams being Robin Williams. Robin Williams did impressions. Robin Williams played off a lot of pop culture. It was just him basically going into a booth and being himself.
Which was amazing.
And so Will Smith just was Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Yep.
And I thought that was the best choice possible. And I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, he's just being Will Smith. but literally Robin Williams was just
Which is
being
why-
Robin Williams.
Which is why I think both versions of the Genie work.
Exactly.
I saw the Broadway version of this, and I will take either Robin Williams or Will Smith over the Broadway version any day, mainly because the Broadway version they were kind of playing this like not quite. I mean, they're not being Robin Williams, but I didn't ever feel like they had a solid grasp of what the character was supposed to be. So it was still a lot of Robin Williams jokes and impersonations, and so it was kind of we're going to just do a slightly different take on the Robin Williams version of Aladdin. Whereas this was like, we're just going to let Will Smith be Will Smith,
Exactly.
and he's just going to do it, and that's great. And the other great thing I thought they did with the Genie is they gave him more motivations than just wanting to be free. Spoiler alert again, if you're still watching and you didn't want any spoilers, now is the time to get out of here. Genie gets a girlfriend, and it was beautiful. It was
pretty great.
deliciously awkward.
Oh, it was
It
amazing.
was like from both sides, the girl and him,
Yes.
ridiculously funny. It
Yeah.
actually, in some ways, stole parts of the show, but it also added so much depth to Jasmine,
Yeah.
and not so much like Aladdin wasn't as much into that, but like I liked how it added the relationship between Jasmine and Dahlia, who's her handmaiden, that's now the Genie's girlfriend, I guess, and like that little interaction when they're kind of getting to know each other was absolutely charming.
Yeah.
Like I was really surprised. I was like, oh, this is dumb when I saw it coming a little bit. and
When
I was
they
like,
first hinted at it, Mr. Daps literally said out loud in the theater, "Oh, I see where this is going." Which cracked me
and
up.
I did.
Because it was, I mean, they pretty much,
It was one of those moments where, like, I think they just ruined the film. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, man, that was cheap. And then they did it so awkwardly and delightfully charming
Yeah.
that I was like, okay, I actually
was
really
fun.
like this. And, like, there was nothing suave about this movie whatsoever. Like, none of the characters are suave. Like, even the prince, I'm forgetting his name, was Anders?
yes, something like that.
Ridiculous. Hilarious, ridiculous, terrible, and really funny to watch. Like, clueless.
And that was what I loved most about Prince Ali when he first makes his.
Oh, he was terrible too.
Because in the animated, it's just, I'm the prince, and she just doesn't like him because he's a prince, and he comes in. But in this, he literally
He's so terrible.
shoots his shot and just is so terrible.
Like he's clearly never spoken to a girl before. Like it was
Yeah.
ridiculously bad, and then it went from bad to worse to worse to worse, and it was hilarious to watch. And like I think there was the line at the end of the thing where the genie's like, in 10,000 years, I have never been more embarrassed. I was just like, what a brilliant way to do that scene, as opposed to.
Well, and it was the motto or the lesson of the whole movie is that Genie can make you look like a prince, but he can't make you act like a prince. Like that you're still the same person you were on the inside.
Yeah.
And so Aladdin's never been a prince. He doesn't know how to be a prince, and so he starts talking about jams for 5 minutes straight.
And it was amazing.
It was really good.
It was really amazing.
It was really
I
good.
thought it was one of my favorite. And then they kept referencing it throughout the movie
Which
too,
was
so it
very
wasn't
funny.
like you just had this bad moment. It lived on and on and on with
It's
you.
the same way it would work in life. Like
Yeah, oh totally.
But
Yeah.
the other thing about the genie that I really liked is that not only was part of his purpose getting a girlfriend and all that stuff, part of it was getting friends. And
Yeah.
obviously it happens in the animated, but it's never so flat out of like, I don't have friends, I'm a genie, I've been locked in a lamp for 1,000 years.
There's a little bit of a vulnerability with that, I felt like.
Agreed, completely.
Yeah.
Because the moment when he thinks that Aladdin might not use his third wish to free him is so much more heart-wrenching, because he's like, you're my friend, and if you make your wish and I don't get to stay out, like, I lose you.
Well, and Will Smith made an interesting choice there too, is where the Robin Williams genie gets basically angry.
Yeah.
And kind of has a explosion moment and goes back to the lamp. Will Smith instead got quiet and hurt.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting choice, and I thought it was a solid one. I don't think it was his strongest acting moment, if we were to be completely critical.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I see what you're doing there. Like, you're blue and you look like a big marshmallow. So it's kind of hard to take it completely seriously. And I think it was a good choice to not show his face in that moment, because I don't know if it would have worked, but it more or less did work. I don't know if it was the strongest moment in the movie, but it was a very good choice for the movie.
Yeah.
Sultan, I think we can hit next. I thought the Sultan was beautifully cast.
I really loved it.
And they, again, added more depth here.
Yeah.
Like this, I think they'd made so many good choices in this one. I walked out of it thinking, you know, I really like the choices they made to add depth for this one. And I enjoyed Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
But this one, I felt like it was even a stronger... Like, the backstories they added and the depth was stronger than what they did with Beauty and the Beast.
Agreed completely.
Like, he was beyond just the doting father that he kind of is in the original movie that's kind of a bumbling idiot.
Yep.
This movie, he was a grieving father who'd lost his wife and was trying to protect his daughter, and it made everything make sense, to me at least. I was like, yeah, that seems like what a dad would do.
Yeah.
And then it created more purpose for Jasmine as the advocate of the people, and her mother loved the people, you find out, and it just added a lot of good moments between father and daughter, and then between the other characters too, because of the dynamics there. Jafar, if there was a weak link, I think he probably was it, and I'd say the jury's still out on him for me. My initial thought when I saw him at the beginning of the movie was like, I don't know. But I was comparing him to the original, and throughout the movie as it went in, you find out that basically the thing I did like with the character that they did is Jafar and Aladdin are basically the same person.
Yeah.
And so I think they took a younger approach with Jafar for that very reason, because they're both thieves and they're both trying to be something that they're not.
Yeah.
And one of them is taking the approach of honesty by the end of the movie, and the other one is taking the extreme of what happens when you go with greed and anything, like, there's no cost that's too great for becoming number one, basically, is what he wanted. And so some of our friends were talking about that they wished that the palace guard head and him had switched roles, but I realized if you had somebody that was kind of that stature and age, I don't know that the thief thing would have worked as well. Like, you had to have a little bit of that young and immaturity and ambition that you would have lost, I think, by that time.
Yeah.
And so my biggest complaint with him was I would have really liked to seen him sing. I missed the big song at the end, Prince Ali song at the end, and he spoke the lines. I was like, oh man, but I like that part. And but I think I liked him. I want to see it again, because when I got into the parallelism between him and Aladdin, that's when I started thinking about, I actually think I like this guy. Whereas when I was comparing him to Jafar of 1992, I was like, this guy is a pansy. And the whole point is he's a pansy. He's a thief and he's a crook trying to sneak his way up to be a sultan.
Yes. He creeped me out a lot.
Which I felt like he needed to do.
Exactly. And so I felt like he did his job, because everything about him was sinister and creepy, and especially
sleazy a little bit.
Yeah, especially the hypnosis scenes, which I felt were stronger in this than they were.
And you get the snake thing when he was doing it. His face started doing weird things, and
I thought that he was incredibly menacing, and I see how in ways he's less creepy and less menacing than the original Jafar. But I think that in his own way, and in this story, it fit. I didn't hate him. And I really loved, like you said, the parallels when he sits down with him in the sand before the Cave of Wonders and says, you know, I am you. And he tries to basically give him a pep talk of, you too could steal a kingdom if you wanna.
Yeah.
Which is terrible and horrible. But he was so creepy, and he was so after his own agenda.
Well, and he even showed by stealing from Aladdin how he was him.
Yeah, exactly.
He grabs the little thing out of his pocket, and it was that's how he shows that he was who Aladdin is currently at that time at the beginning of the movie. And so I thought that was a solid move. In fact, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I like Jafar. I feel like the hecklers from the Muppets were the beginning they hate him, and then by the end more. Yeah, but I actually liked him. Let's talk about the music real quick.
Okay.
So a lot of songs are the same
Yes.
with new versions on them. They obviously used more geographically appropriate orchestrations and instruments. I did too. It did two things: is it kept it from being a direct recreation of the original, but it also brought you into that world a little bit more, which was good. The other thing they did is they definitely freshened up the music, not meaning to be a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air pun there, but it definitely felt a lot more today and poppy. And
Yes.
I actually was a little bit worried about that going into it.
Yeah.
But then as the movie moved along, one of the takeaways I had was just how much fun they were having. I was like, and the music's fun, and it kind of all feels natural. And then they even went back to Friend Like Me in the credits, and they just had a big dance off.
That was so fun.
And it was just like, how can you not like this? And then I went back to 1992 when I saw Aladdin the first time, and I was like, it's really Beauty and the Beast was epic and grand and beautiful. And I remember walking out just going, holy moly, I've never seen anything like this. And then Aladdin comes along. I was like, oh, that was so fun. I love that movie. Aladdin always has been fun. And I feel like they captured that in this movie.
I didn't watch a lot of movies growing up. I feel like we've established that many, many times with me. But even Disney movies. I didn't watch a lot of Disney movies, but my favorite princess was Ariel. I love The Little Mermaid. That was like the thing. If I was throwing a tantrum, you'd put on The Little Mermaid to cool me down. And Aladdin. I loved Aladdin growing up. And it was because it's fun. Really Ariel is a very Little Mermaid's a very serious princess movie of no, I want to be my own person, and no, Daddy, I love him. It takes itself very seriously. Mm-hmm. And Aladdin does not take itself very seriously at all. How
could it with Robin Williams as basically leading the movie? It's fantastic.
Yeah, and so I think that this captured the fun that they had with the original and all the songs and all the dancing and
in being their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought one of the great additions was there's a song Speechless that Jasmine sings twice, and I wasn't entirely sure what I would think of it from the preview. Mm-hmm. And then when it was again in the context, I was like, oh, that's a really solid song. It's more poppy than anything from the original movie, but with the reorchestrations and their rearranging of the songs for the new movie, it really fit in well, and it really built up her character. It was kind of her I Want song. It was her I Want song, even though they kind of almost did the reprise at the beginning of the movie and the main song at the end. That. And I was like, huh. And I was actually really confused when it was super short at the beginning. I was like, oh, I thought it was different than this from the preview they showed online.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and then it comes to the end and it's in context. And I was like, oh, the payoff is the I Want song that's leading to the action that's actually at the end, but not at the beginning where she had the thought originally that she's been building since she was a kid because she reads so much. But I thought it was really well done. Friend Like Me, we already talked about. We liked. We also liked One Jump.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I didn't love the cinematography for One Jump, but that's fine.
There were some interesting choices there. I think there was a slow motion moment that felt a little bit weird.
My problem with it is that they very clearly filmed it half speed.
Yeah.
And then sped it up.
There was some of that too.
Which is, there's a very popular app, I'll explain this to you for a second, called TikTok.
I've heard of it.
Where you lip sync to things.
Yeah.
And you can lip sync it half speed and then speed it up. And so the whole time I was like, Aladdin and Jasmine are on TikTok? Because it felt very
that would be a good meme.
But there's a part, especially
Bailey, make that happen.
The most obvious thing to me is when they're walking, and you can tell they're walking at not a normal person pace. Yeah. And I was like,
or when they hopped on the back of the wagon as it went by.
It leads up to that.
Yeah,
when they're walking.
That was the moment I really noticed it too. Yeah. So there were some weird things that actually I would take a step further. They were disorienting during the song. I can't imagine seeing it in 3D, to be completely honest. I think that would have been really uncomfortable.
Yes.
But the music I enjoyed a lot, and I liked the way they staged it. I liked the progression it took.
I love the choreography.
Yeah, but I loved from a storytelling perspective, if they started over here and they ended up here,
Definitely.
and ended up basically going to Aladdin's tower, and that was cool too.
Yeah.
Whole New World was completely different.
I loved it.
I really liked it. That was the song that you could make or break with. I felt like going into this movie, I was like, if you walk out hating A Whole New World, that's another major faux pas. And it's a very, like, it's not as, I guess, epic necessarily as the original. Like, the original was this huge orchestral, gorgeous piece, and this one's a lot more simple and subdued, and it does build, but it felt more intimate and personal and realistic.
Yeah.
Like, they don't go to, they don't see the Eiffel Tower, sorry. But
which I liked. I liked that they weren't
liked
doing
that they kept it in world.
that. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
They basically just flew around the kingdom, and that was great because that's really what she wanted to do anyway.
I was gonna say which I thought was perfect, because then when it ends back in Agrabah, and she was like, this is the best place. Like,
Seeing her people.
it comes back to the love that she has. I just felt like her character development, and I felt that was just a great moment of, she sees everything that she's wanted to see. She finally gets to be free, and she comes back home, and that's still the place she loves the most.
Yep.
So I thought that was great.
And not inside the walls, but outside the walls. And
Yes.
that was very beautiful as well. What other songs did we have? Is there any other songs?
Probably. I feel like those are the big ones.
Oh, Prince Ali.
Prince Ali. Yeah.
That was really fun.
I did too.
That was
I liked
once
it.
again just really fun. I've heard some complaints about it, and I don't really understand them because, yes, very different. But in some ways, this was their show-stopping big Broadway number that I thought was a blast.
Yeah.
And
It was fun.
yeah, and that's really that's what the whole movie was. Yes, there was too much confetti. Yes, there was probably some digital choices that if I were in charge, I probably would have polished up a little bit more. However, the fun completely overrode that to me.
And I think the best part is that it kind of caught me off guard, because Genie isn't teleporting around doing all the traditional things that you see in the 92 one. So he's not being a Telecaster, he's not being a kid, he's not doing all these things.
He's not a submarine.
But you do see him turn into a village woman and sing that, which I think that because they weren't doing all the other gags, made it that much better.
Well, and he owned it, which was really fun too. Like, I think he was a village person too, but it was all like people things as opposed to being like
something outlandish
characterizations of things.
Yes, so
And
that was very fun.
They're all realistic, I guess is a better way of putting it. And I loved, speaking of realistic, I loved how he went from being blue to looking like normal Will Smith.
Yeah.
Like when they're going, it's basically because they're going into Agrabah.
Is what I predicted if you go back to Geek's Corner like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And basically it was a cover.
Yeah,
and
which I thought was amazing.
And I like that he kept dropping cover every time they were alone.
I agree.
So it really was back and forth, and that was a good choice as well.
Yeah.
What things would you like to have not seen, or do you think were major misses, or were there any major misses?
Raja was a little too CGI. Like, there was times...
But I really liked him.
I loved Raja. That was great. But there was definitely times...
Especially in the dark.
Same way that we felt about Professor Hulk in Endgame.
Yep.
Where it was like...
There's just something not quite
Oh,
there.
that's just a little too CGI.
I actually thought there was a moment or two with Abu as well.
Yeah.
But not the carpet.
I agree.
Carpet, I was fine with the whole thing. Of, like, really, of all the characters you would expect.
You'd expect it to be the carpet.
No, carpet was fine.
Yeah.
And actually, I felt like some of the lava scene in the Cave of Wonders. In fact, Cave of Wonders to me was one of the hardest things for them to do, just because I don't like. I kind of want to see it on my TV just to see if it's better, or if, because I actually thought there was moments in the film where there was an area of the screen that was just always out of focus. And so then I was like, well, is this messing with my thing too? And so I thought maybe there might have been an issue with the projector or something as well. Or just a smudge on the glass. Very possible. But the Cave of Wonders, I really would like to see again, just because I don't know if I was being overly sensitive to it or if it just felt too digital and almost cartoony with the lava coming down.
I agree.
And even the way some of the lighting and stuff was done, it was just one of those moments where I was like, I am not completely suspending my disbelief. I thought, I'm trying to think of anything else I was kind of like,
I already brought it up, and I know you love it, but I didn't entirely love how poppy Jasmine was.
I thought it was solid.
I was like, I don't know what I was expecting, but how poppy she was threw me off. And I haven't listened to any of the, like, I've seen one jump at the preview.
Yeah.
And I saw a little bit of Friend Like Me.
Yeah.
But I hadn't listened to a lot of the music.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just that I wasn't prepared to be in
Yeah.
a pop music thing.
Maybe.
But it really took me out of it.
I was impressed though at how solid vocally she was, because
She was amazing.
I will take a pop solid singer any day.
Than a Broadway wannabe.
Yeah. Like I just think of so many musical movies where they've brought in somebody to sing that just shouldn't be singing. Whether you go both of the main characters in Phantom of the Opera.
In the last 5 years.
There's so many of them, yeah. But like the cardinal sin to me was you have this beautiful movie, Phantom of the Opera, and then neither the Phantom or Christine were ridiculously amazing singers, and they're supposed to be ridiculously awesome opera singers. And I think when you make misses like that, it detracts from the character. And this was a stylistic thing, and I actually thought it was fun. Like to me, it went to them being themselves and
she was incredibly talented.
She was ridiculously, and then you think of even the dance sequence, it was clearly more
I agree. Yes.
Poppy Bollywood, a little bit of
I loved how Bollywood that dance
was. It was hilarious. It was great. What they did with Aladdin there was ridiculous and probably unnecessary when you think about it, especially for how long it went, but it was fun. He did this huge dance number under the influence of the genie.
I thought it was great.
And it was hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think that I wasn't necessarily, like, my mind wasn't ready for it, I guess. I don't know. But I feel like
interesting to see if after you've seen it a couple times and listened to the soundtrack, if you're still thrown off by it, or
I'll
it becomes like this,
oh,
I really like this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
On the flip side, I cannot imagine a non-poppy version of Speechless.
I completely
that song
agree.
Would just not work at all, and I can't imagine her being less poppy with the arrangement they did of A Whole New World as well.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it throws you off, but the way they put together the music as well, I could see it being a problem.
Yeah.
Overall, what do you think of the movie?
I liked it. I wouldn't say. I'm trying to think. What are the other live actions? Beauty and the Beast.
Jungle Book.
Dumbo.
I know I'm missing.
Wasn't there one before all that?
Probably.
Before Jungle Book.
Yeah, I'm spacing it though. It's.
I don't know. Well, if it's out of those, then this is probably my favorite.
I think it was one of the.
Out of that lineup, I feel like there's another one that I liked though.
You want me to look?
That would be great.
Oh, Cinderella was really good.
Cinderella! That's what it is.
Cinderella was really good.
Is at the top.
Maleficent.
I've never seen Maleficent. And that's also not a live action remake. That's a different storytelling.
It's a retelling of a different...
From a different point of view.
Yeah, it's... Who knows what they're doing.
So Cinderella's at the top. I would say that this might be second out of that lineup.
I'm trying to think if I like this better than Cinderella or not.
I loved Cinderella.
I liked a lot of the choices they made in Cinderella, but I liked... This is the movie I would go back and rewatch.
Sure.
Like
it's more fun.
So I think I would put this one... I really want to wait till I see The Lion King.
That's fair. No, I understand.
I mean, that one I'm actually in some ways more excited about just because of the Jungle Book. Like, it looked so amazing. And
Jungle Book looked incredible.
And to me, that's what really could be missed on The Lion King, so I'm excited about that. And right now, Jon Favreau is just...
on fire.
He's ridiculous.
Doing everything.
He is. So I definitely give this 2 thumbs up. Major hat tips. Like, this was a very solid attempt, or it wasn't even an attempt. This was a solid movie that they pulled together. If this was the way that they did all of the live action films, I feel like people, well, they probably still find reasons to complain about it. But I really feel like this one is something that if you can go in and say, hey, this is just take it as a film as opposed to comparing it all the time, which we just did for half an hour to the original. But even then, like, I feel like if you really come in with an open mind and look at what was done here, is it a flawed movie? Yes, but the things they got right way outweigh the things they got wrong. So I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Definitely would suggest going out and checking it out. Support the movie. These are the kind of movies I'd like to see more of coming out from Disney. It was quality. It was a musical.
And it was fun.
It felt, there was also a thing we didn't talk about at all, is there were so many Disney magical moments throughout the film. Like, we had a group of, 12 people there tonight? 14 people like that. And some of the guys were coming up like, I had a tear in my eye at one point. And I was just like, I mean, that doesn't happen a whole lot. And that means they're doing something right when you literally across, like, we had every age, demographic, gender basically represented in this group of 14.
My parents came.
Like, we had literally, like, you name it, it looked like one of those Disney afternoon film or Disney Channel films. We just literally had the whole gambit covered.
Had the whole row.
Yeah, it was great. But like the whole row, people had their moments that they loved, and that's just a solid thing. So go out, support this film. Also, we'd love if you'd support us. We're trying to build this. Our next goal, we just hit 30,000 subscribers this week. We'd love to hit 100,000. So if you like the videos that you're seeing, please share them, please please leave us comments, because we'd love to comment back with you. We love having conversations with you as you're viewing. And then also subscribe to this channel too, because that's a great thing as well. We will be doing more of these reviews. I think the next one will be probably Toy Story 4, followed by The Lion King. Then later this year, little Star Wars movies coming out. So
That's little fan film.
we'll see how that goes. It'll be fun. But make sure to tune in every Tuesday night at 9:30. We are both live on Geeks Corner at thegeekscorner.com. You can also read more articles, more reviews. We've got one up from DC Sarah that's for this movie that's non-spoilers. Kind of pointless now, but you can read her point of view also. And that is all we have for you tonight. It's been a long night, but a good one. We hope you've enjoyed this review from DAPS Magic Reports, and we look forward to seeing you in the parks. And with that, we will say good night.